Okay, Rich, it's a little bit after 6. You want to get started?
Sure. Thank you, Mark. Hello, everybody. This is Richard McLemore, the founder of Simple Sales Coach. And who you just heard speaking was Mark Evan, my partner in crime. And he and I spent the last 4 years developing the platform that we're going to review with you today. This is the third webinar in a three-part series that we had. The first one was just to talk about why we did this thing and what was the purpose behind it, and to quickly review. We did research over, like I said, the last 4 years. I've been involved in real estate for over 45 years. I started actually when I was in the military, and as a broke soldier, I was always trying to make an extra buck, and real estate seemed like a place that both had an attraction and had a durability connected with it, because my dad had always told me, son, the only two things that are going to remain the same in life are food, something everybody needs to survive, and a place to have shelter, have a roof over their head. And so I followed that advice. And so Mark and I have been working together for almost 30 years. I've known Mark a long, long time. And when I started getting engaged, Mark was one of my first, I won't even call him a student, he was one of my first partners. And we went off and we had bought just a bushel of properties together that we own throughout Texas. So that was the first webinar. Yesterday's webinar was where we introduced the team. There was a chance where you could listen to Mark talk and talk about his great accomplishments and achievements. And our social media, Miriam Rose was on, and she talked about how important it is to have a backing in social media, because we wanted to develop a company. And let me talk a little bit about what the company truly is. We're the most revolutionary, innovative company that we've seen, and we've gotten feedback from several of my guru mentors of how we're attacking the real estate market. You know, the world right now, you can go and you can get an education on any specific way of doing real estate you can imagine. You know, the most popular ones like wholesaling and buying tax certificates are pretty widely known, but there are 8 that I have versed myself in over the last 45 years, and that's how I made a really good second income, all the way to the point that when it got to being more than I was making in my full-time job, I decided to exit stage left and do this as a full-time living. So we're going to talk about what that is, how it can benefit you, because we're in hard times. You know, who would have expected the entire world's economies to shut down in a single day? I mean, when you think about it, these are extraordinary times and require extraordinary efforts to get us back on track. You know, millions upon millions of people are working from their houses now. Some people have so much time on their hands that they've never had before that they're starting to rethink their entire life and examine their lifestyle and say, you know, why am I going into this office every day to just sit? And what I've foreseen is I think there's going to be a very radical shift in how the U.S., if not the world, does business and conducts it on a day-to-day basis as we move forward. You know, we're still under a threat of the coronavirus. Our economy is faltering. You know, stocks just fell out. Oil has done even worse. They went down to levels that hadn't been seen since 1968. And so the world economy is in, you know, dire straits. But real estate is one constant that always remains there. So what we want to do is I'm going to walk you through what our plan is, what our initiative is. At the end of this, I'm going to unveil a special offer, what I'm calling a blatant bribe. And we'll see if we can't provoke you and pick your interest enough to want to do business with us. So with that, you know, when I looked at what was going on in the world, you know, stock market, I had one friend who lost over $3 million to the stock market in 3 days. $3 million a day. And, you know, I asked him, I said, aren't you sick and tired of having your money stolen? because he wasn't managing his stock. His stock was being managed by some, so-called professional, but they weren't professional enough to have a soothsayer and a genie on the wall who they could employ to keep them out of these kind of troubles. And so I just got tired of that. Back in 1987, during the dot-com bust, I personally lost $2.2 million in the stock market. And that was an eye-opener. From that day on, I decided I was not going to be investing in stocks anymore. I would buy REITs, REIT, in my 401. I had it with stocks and the things that go on that are all bad with stocks. So we decided that we wanted to get together, and there's some secrets to success that I've always found. And one is you have to have knowledge, and I had a set of friends and business partners and associates who all were losing money in stock, and they wanted to quickly replace that wealth. Well, I'll pre-warn you, this is no get-rich-quick scheme. What we're going to represent to you requires work and hard work, and it's going to require a time investment, because you've got to go out and look at houses. You've got to go out and look at properties. And the next objection I get is, well, Richard, you can do this because you've now generated a lot of money, but I don't have any money. I just lost my job, or my hours just got cut, by 2/3. So worry not. I'm going to also show you how you can obtain properties and leverage properties through other people's money. Now, wouldn't that be a cool idea? Because at the end of the day, don't you want to enjoy some extra time with your family and friends? Take vacations whenever that starts back up, travel the world, buy a boat, buy a second house, do what you want to do with your life. I know I sure did. So you can tell by this Homer Simpson guy, why hasn't it happened to you yet then? Come on, admit it. You've thought about you'd like to have a better position in life, but so many of the masses are engaged in what I call middle income living. They're worried. They followed their mom and dad's advice about go to school, get a job, don't flip around to different companies, stay there, get your gold watch and retire. Well, unfortunately, the parents didn't tell them about things like inflation, the things like war, unexpected events and calamities like we're going through with the coronavirus. Just, the world has a series of problems that need to be faced. And this may be the first time that you're facing this type of problem. I don't know your ages on here, but, when I was in my last job, my role was to train all the brand new college graduates and teach them the ways of selling. Well, what you're really looking to do is try to figure out, how can you find opportunities like what I fall into daily and uncover them like a pro. So at the end of this discussion, I'm going to uncover, as I said, a blatant bribe, a couple of them actually, that I hope will entice you enough to want to stick your foot into the water, see how cold it is, or you may find it lukewarm and warm. And in that case, we'd love to do a little business for you. So I'm Richard McLemore, as I said. I still do look like that. And not too long ago, I was just like you. And this is my partner, Mark Evan. Mark is, and I'm going to talk about him a little bit, he is an absolute genius. He's been in technology for over 3 decades. He's only had a handful of jobs, all of them being leaders or, important implementation type activities. He was a CIO at a funding source. He's really, really smart technologically, and he's just a smart business person. And so what I decided to do when I set this company up, I looked back at my life and I asked myself, well, what were the main things that really propelled me? Well, one was my sales and marketing ability. And that was, learned over a series of, almost 5 decades. I am Sandler trained. I am, I've won every award and every accomplishment, that you can probably win, just if that's important to you. But, I like to surround myself with high quality people. And Mark is one of the examples of that high quality person. But I wanted to put together a team, as I was saying, that had three parts to it. It had the sales and marketing and the specific knowledge, which I'm going to be tasked with providing to you. And when I say specific knowledge, let me break that down. What that means is I'm going to show you the real way to do things. It's not going to be a lot of intellectual, exercises and, rote learning. I'm going to be virtually sitting on your shoulder, giving you guidance, motivation, encouragement to help you go accomplish all the things in life that you really, really want to do. Mark is going to take care of all the technical and implementation activities. Now, that's going to be things like he's a wizard at setting up websites. He's a wizard at technology. He knows how to connect A to B to X and Z. He knows about email. He knows about autoresponders. He can be the guy who you can lean on and really get a great education on how to run your individual or your family business. The other member of our team is Miriam Rose. She's who I call the queen of social media. She's a noted blogger. She's written most of her life. Came out of Oral Roberts University out of Oklahoma, where I also played football. So she's a wonderful individual, and she's going to help you understand branding, understand how to work in the social platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, how to give a webinar, what kind of lighting might you need in all those kind of activities. And she's just a whiz at doing things that help to build your brand. So I'm going to start on my story. As I said, I was a college athlete. And the story goes that I tell is that it was after the Kansas State game, which was our sixth game in of the year. And I was a brand new senior, plebe. I was playing football. I wasn't really academically very sharp, but I was bored a lot. And I always wanted to have a better life. So me and my best friend, who passed about 10 years ago, we're sitting around having a beer after a game, and we got talking about our dreams. And we said, what do you want to do? Well, we made a really smart decision. So we decided we'd leave school and we'd go join the military. So not just the military, of course, I was full of testosterone, and I thought I was, a bad guy. So we also went, and both of us applied for special operations, and surprisingly, we both endured the training and were both selected. So he was shipped off to Vietnam. I took 2 tours in Laos. My job was to work with a 6-man team, and we went and encouraged and met Vietnamese officers who were hiding in Laos, and we would gingerly invite them to come back for prosecution. And so that was my job and my role. But all during this time, of course, here I am now, an ex-athlete, now a military Joe. And I had a big problem. I was struggling with false confidence. Sure, I had a big bravado, but, that's what it was a bravado. And I started getting more and more frustrated when I was in the military and scared, because now I was at the back end near discharge, and I didn't know what was going to be happening. So I guess I was a lot like, some of you sitting in the audience. I was trying to find my direction and my purpose in life. Well, an event happened that our our Chief Master Sergeant, now I was commissioned, but the Chief Master Sergeant had a party, and there were 26 of us in special operations at this base. This was kind of our base for R&R. Well, of course, we all collectively go. Well, it wasn't 10 minutes before, and this was back in the mid 70s, that, marijuana got broken out. Well, I was in the military at a time when that was absolutely not a second chance. If you were caught or even suspected of being a doper, you were drummed out of the service. So, 24, my friend, a guy by the name of Red Eye, and I saw that this was going to be a problem. And so we excused ourselves and left the party and went and got a pizza. Well, the next day, 24 peers of mine, and I was team leader, were visited by the IG and the Office of Special Investigations who were on base. And they were queried and interrogated about this party. Well, being good soldiers, most of them admitted it, which was, of course, a problem for them because they were quickly getting court-martialed and needing to leave the service. So my self-confidence was falling quicker than a rock in water. So I knew that wasn't going to be the thing for me because I was less than a year getting out of the service. And so my entire team was getting court-martialed. Well, they would come to me as team leader asking for advice, because here I was one of the only two people not arrested and not put on special duty about this. And I started getting depressed. I was in pretty bad mental shape. And I was getting desperate because I didn't want to be drummed out of the service. I wanted to be able to be discharged honorably and live a good life as a truthful and integrity-driven soldier. I had a deep desire to live a life centered around what my mom and dad always taught me, and that was honor, integrity, and respect for others. So I was a lot like this sign. I didn't know which way to turn, and I sure didn't know how to uncover any opportunities moving forward. I was having a difficult time just trying to understand what was going on and then verse this back to people as clearly, accurately, and factually as possible. Then I had that big aha moment. Have you had one yet? That's the moment when things become clearer in your mind. And I realized very quickly I had to make a change. So what does the aha moment do? It helped me find my inner strength and confidence so that I could remain strong during my peers and partners' discharges. And guess what? It started working. So just like the guy who's pushing the world up this steep hill, I started realizing that their court-martial was not my fault. I was failing because I had these bullshit beliefs about myself and the values that I represented and possessed. No wonder I was struggling. Some of my false beliefs were that, my command would never discipline any of us. Why would they? We were the bad A's of the service. We were the guys who not only went in first, but we cleaned up the mess last. You had to have a strong degree of courage and integrity to be a part of this special group that I was a member of. And, I thought that command would figure out that we were just too damn important to the mission to ever drum us out. So I found out pretty quickly that wasn't true. And I discovered what I had to do, that there was society and there was civility, and that if I wanted to get along in the outside world, I was going to have to live within those boundaries in order to get the results that I was seeking and deserved. So just like breaking this rope, I believe that command would never discipline any of us for behavior. A little extra special duty, sure. But court-martial, why? Because I was expected and I acted like a true hellraiser. There were things that I did that, looking back, were very immature, but you do things, because of peer pressure that you normally wouldn't do. And when I finally figured out that, my beliefs weren't true, I started making a change in my life, and I started breaking out of these destructive thoughts, and I was seeking to get the results that I sought as a quality individual. Because here's what happens. False beliefs about myself and my subsequent self-values that I possessed were ruining me. They were damaging me. And I knew that I could do better. And I knew that I could start changing my life so that I could find opportunities just like a pro. So what did it teach me? It taught me to stand on my own 2 feet, and that the truth will always shine bright through the darkness. And what I discovered was I was able to, lead with confidence, recognize that everyone, no matter what your lot in life, wants to be successful. Nobody wants to be unsuccessful, especially not if you were in special operations. Everybody, and I say everybody with a capital E, wants to be successful. And so I also found out that I had great influence. I could encourage and mentor others. I was a big advocate of martial arts, and Bruce Lee was a hero. And he said something that I never thought I'd ever forget, and that was, a teacher is never a giver of truth. He is a guide, a pointer to the truth that each student must find for himself. So I started using my inner strength and confidence, and I remained strong during my teammates' discharge. I actually accompanied 21 of the 24 out of the front gate whenever they got discharged. Gave them a hug, shook their hand, gave them words of encouragement, and I have kept up. There's only 8 of us still alive, but I've kept up with them to this day. So what are the hidden benefits that I experienced? Well, one was, I started learning how to uncover opportunities like a pro. Because during this time, in my last year of the service, I met a civilian government employee who was rumored to have gotten rich owning slum houses, rent houses that military people rent, because on a base, I guess one of the biggest things in life is, for those who get married, they want to own a house. And this guy was buying houses and, renting them most likely, or selling them on owner financing to hapless soldiers. Well, he agreed to be my mentor. Now, here's what the mentoring job entailed. I wheelbarrowed rocks for him. I laid sod in his rent houses. I did repairs. I cut limbs. I cleaned floors. I learned skills about working on air conditioning units. I climbed on roofs to do inspections. And so if you've ever seen the movie Karate Kid, I was the original Daniel-san. So but I was learning all during this time, and I was inquisitive, and I would ask questions that I knew would serve me well in my afterlife beyond the military. He was the first to teach me how to buy properties using other people's money. He owned, at that time in the military, he owned, I think, in the mid-40s quantity of houses. And he used to brag to me that he had just bought 2 houses last week. And you know how much I spent on Richard? I spent $800 on one. And I actually had a guy give me $200 just to take his house over. So I knew this was something that I wanted to learn how to do. Because what did he do? He was spending a lot of time away from base, out in a brand new boat that he had bought, in a new house that he had paid cash for. So that was kind of the lifestyle I wanted to seek. And that's also why I created this thing that we're calling Simple Sales Goldmine. And it really is a goldmine in my opinion, and here's why. Here's my hero board. I'm not going to go into that. You can look at it if you choose to. But some of the things that I'm most proud of is, as I said, I was a Sandler certified sales person and a franchise owner. I've managed literally tens of thousands of sales, marketing, ops apps, and managers in my life. At one company, I had 12 VPs reporting to me. I'm a LinkedIn influencer. I am a member of the National Speakers Association, and probably my most proud moment is that I'm also a mentor to the selling schools at Baylor and Texas A&M. Now, you're listening to a guy who's a true introvert at heart. What I learned how to do was how to be uncomfortable so I could make other people comfortable. And that sounds kind of backwards and with my accent, I'm sure it sounds that I'm stupid. Well, I probably am. But I found out that by doing that, I could always get things moving in my direction and my way. In fact, here's just a sample of what we're going to offer you if you decide to join up with us. You know, the one thing I'll tell you is that if you sign up and you want to do coaching, you're listening to the best mentor and the most trusted executive coach you've ever had. And I don't know who you've had as a coach or a mentor, but I know my self-worth and my self-value, and I know that I will do everything possible to provide you 10x results. I'm going to teach you how to properly research, determine, and purchase property, both confidently and always profitably. The biggest thing I think that I bring to the table is I'm going to teach you how to grow a network and team for continued success. I have a mentee who lives out in Boca Raton, and she was an ex-tennis pro who's injured her back, and she's now started moving toward real estate. Well, I asked her to be on today so she could, give me a quick verbal testimonial. And she said, well, Richard, I wish I could, but to be accountable to you, I've got 3 houses I've got to go look at this afternoon. So that's how things work, because she has been able, with me mentoring her, how to develop a team. And what's a team? A team are people like real estate attorneys, mortgage title companies, contractors, if you decide to do fix and flips, inspection people, home warranty companies, and the list just goes on and on. And I will not only show you how to do it, but I'll help you engage and hold you accountable to get it done. Another thing is, and even though I am not the most diction-driven person, I'm going to teach you how to use words and written language to help influence and communicate. I am a student and a graduate of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and I know how to apply certain words and influences to help get the results that I'm seeking, and I'll teach you that as well. But the most important thing that I think I'll be able to share with you is learn how and the big why you should always help others. The most fortunate part of my life was that I grew up in a family where my mom and dad, where my dad was very successful. My mom was the only female postmaster general ever appointed in Oklahoma. So along with being both politically oriented, they were just great human beings. Every year, my mom and my oldest sister and I would get a collection of glassware from Corning Glass, which was, they had a factory in the town outside of where we lived. And we would go to at least 300 homes and give little trinkets of this off to people. Not because we had to, not because we needed to. It's just because my mom and dad wanted to. And that speaks volumes of their good hearts, and I hope that some of that has rubbed off on me. But before you get started, let me ask you the hard question. What is your why? Why do you want to have a better life? Why do you want to make more money? Why do you want to get involved in real estate? Why did you want to be getting involved in stocks? Because there's a price for success. And that price is always around hard work, dedication, having determination, and then bringing on 10x massive action. Because without action, nothing ever happens. It's just going to be something you hear. You may absorb some of it, but it's going to become lost out of the ears as soon as it's gone. Now, one of the things that I had an opportunity to do was go and take $35 million worth of computers for Operation Desert Storm to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia back in 1991, I believe it was. And I had a chance to sit in on a meeting of all these bullneck generals with Colin Powell giving the talk. And he made a statement that I wrote down at that time, and I've always kept it, and that is, you know, now you got to remember this was the highest ranking military man during, I think it was the Reagan years. And he said a dream doesn't just become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. And for me and my life, those are always words that have shown and rang true. So now you'd be thinking, you're either saying, yeah, this sounds interesting. I'd like to get some access to the Simple Sales Goldmine because, you know, Richard and his team have got it together here. This is the only service that we have researched. Like I said, you can go and you can get trained on any specific skill or discipline that you'd like, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is offering you content on all 8 as a membership. You're also going to get professional coaching. You're going to get an implementation expert from Mark, and we're going to also provide social media workshops. And the way this is going to work is we want to form what we call a tribe, and a tribe is nothing more than a community of people. Well, the definition of a tribe, and with me being a Cherokee American Indian, you know, a tribe is a collection of people who have a leader who all have shared interest. So that's what we want to form. We want to form a tribe. I don't want to get up and just be a lecturer. I want to have interactivity with people. I want to surround myself with people who want to learn. Because if you want to learn, you're going to learn. I'll be giving real estate knowledge presentations, and I'll be giving 2 a month, typically every second Saturday of each month. And they'll be on different subjects each month. Mark will be given weekly implementation workshops. Miriam will be given weekly social media workshops. But here's the cool part of what we all thought. We're going to provide, you know, because hearing it is one thing, but having it reinforced to you assists learning. So we came up with this idea of we're going to provide the first and only treasure chest. Well, what comes in a treasure chest? Treasure. And the treasure in this case is going to be an inclusive professional newsletter written in many parts by the 3 partners. We're going to provide all written copies of all the webinars and all the Q&As. We're going to have them sent and translated into words and put on paper for you. We're going to also provide you listen on the go. We're going to take all the words given during the trainings and we're going to put those on a USB hard drive so that you can travel with it and listen to it in your car. Because we believe that talk is how we build a community. So our tribe, what's that about? You're going to get connected to other entrepreneurs and investors. Yes, we're going to have many investors, and I'm going to apologize right now to Bruce. I had a fit with him a week ago. He's kind of a shy guy, but he's a great lender. He used to be a senior executive at a national company, and he's now taken his money and gone home, and he's lending it out to real estate advocates such as me. We're going to invite you to join a private Facebook group along with the public Facebook group. Why is there a private one? Because that's going to be for, we're going to take all the training that we provide in a seminar and we'll upload it to the private Facebook group. So if you happen to miss a session, you'll always have information available at your fingertips. We're also going to do the same with the company LinkedIn groups. Now, we won't upload as many videos there, but it will be a place where you can check to see are there new agreements? Are there updates on new webinars and all that kind of activity? And to us, that's about a $997 value. The next are our real estate knowledge presentations. And this one, I've got it priced way too low because $3,000, I typically in the past have done trainings for $7,500 on a single subject. But you're going to get the benefit of learning about 8 different disciplines or sectors of real estate to invest in. I'm going to review with you what the benefits are. I'm going to review with you what the rewards are. And I'm going to review with you what the gotchas are. What should you always be wary of if you're choosing this type of business to chase and invest? I've spent 41 years as a business development leader. I'm going to show you how to do good prospecting. I'm a master at negotiating, and outside of Grant Cardone, there's no one who can close the deal more effectively than me, and I'm going to share all that knowledge with you. So I put a value of very conservatively $3,000 on this. Mark, he don't just tell you, he's also going to show you. He's going to also be the guy who will talk to you about marketing mechanics. How do you put your systems? How do you drive the email? How do you create servers? How do you do your websites? How to pick out a phone system if you choose that you want to do that. And how to put together a webinar, and so much more. And although he's absolutely underpriced on his, he's also, we set a value that's probably worth about $3,000 to you. Miriam is going to teach you, as I told you, on all the platforms, the popular platforms of social media. But she's not going to just teach you about what goes on there. She's going to show you how to brand yourself, how to create your own private groups, how to invite and message people to get them into your groups, how to give a webinar, all the mechanics about doing public speaking, and so much more. And that's another $3,000 value. The good stuff to me is that you're going to receive on us a flash drive every month inside of this treasure chest. And the flash drive is going to have everything. It's going to include all the paper copies. It's going to include the videos. It's going to include the question and answer periods. And it's going to have a separate section that breaks out the words so that you can travel and listen and learn 24/7 should you choose to do that. And this is one thing I'm pretty passionate about. I don't listen to, if I listen to music, here's how square I am. I used to play classical piano. So if I listen to music in my car, it's always on the classical station. But I learned many years ago, over 2.5 decades ago, that I could use that time much more productively and listen to things that are factual in nature that will help me either make money, save money, or help others. So that's why we do this. So we're calling Goldmine your real estate treasure tribe. So here's our value again. It's the community. It's the specialized knowledge. It's the implementation workshops. It's the social media workshops. It's the monthly treasure chest. Now, I have spent myself, I know many gurus, so-called gurus, who will be happy to charge you $20,000 to $50,000 for those same things. But that's not happening here. As I said, some of them will charge you upwards of $50,000 to join their so-called inner circle. And what is the inner circle? Well, that meets once a month, usually for 4 to 6 hours on a telephone, and you get the privilege of paying $50,000 to obtain that knowledge. We're not going to do that. Other gurus, then the mass majority of them are in the $20,000 range to join their programs, which may just be an inner circle. It may be you can go to a seminar for a couple of days once a year. There's going to be some added benefit, but they're going to be happy to charge you $20,000 for that. Not here. Here's what our retail value comes up to when you put together all the items on the left. But we're not going to charge you that. What we are going to do is we got some bonuses for you. Here's where that blatant bribe starts to come in. The first one is that we're going to give you a $1,500 Airbnb training course that'll be conducted weekly for 6 weeks in a webinar sequence for only $97. This is a one-time take it or leave it value. We will not be reoffering this Airbnb digital training in the future. We will be offering Airbnb training as part of a webinar series, but for you to actually get hands-on and start growing your empire with Airbnbs, this is an outstanding value. The other one is I'm going to offer you coaching for only $997 for a month. Now, what does that mean? Well, the coaching means is that I will give you 90 minutes once a week. You can ask anything and everything you want to ask. And if you're in Austin local, I'll even accompany you on going to see a house that you may be interested in buying. Or you're going to have the ability to apply for what I'm calling our Goldmine War Room. You see the taglines on how the military fits into so much of my life. The War Room, as you'll see when you look at the package, offers you a variety of different packages, everything from masterminds, which I strongly recommend to you because Mastermind is a great place where we'll bring in entrepreneurs and professionals just like yourself, maybe virtually until we can start meeting in person. And I like to employ what I call hot seats. I've done this most of my life and been engaged in more masterminds than I can even think about. A hot seat is where you will be, the attention will be all on you that meeting. And essentially what we'll do is you'll talk about your biggest success and the group will comment on that success and they'll offer suggestions on how to make it even better. And you'll also reveal your biggest challenge or your biggest frustration. And the group will again offer their opinions and their insights on how you might find solutions to that. It's really powerful stuff. So we're not going to even charge you $10,000. We thought about $7,500. I quickly lobbed that out, and then we thought, well, let's do $5,000. And Mark and Miriam both said that's way too much. So what are we doing? We're going to do $397 a month. There's no contracts. There's no agreements. You can cancel anytime. And you get to keep all the material for that month that we've sent to you. But then we ask the question, why would you ever leave? So the total value, as you saw, was $12,500. A single investment monthly will give you the highest return on your investments that you can make to generate a passive income. Think of it this way too, guys. Like I said, I don't know what ages you're at, but where else can you create through buying real estate, obtaining real estate, or even buying tax certificates, returns of 36% to over 2,000% and create a legacy to leave your grandchildren's grandchildren. If that's important to you, real estate is a vehicle you should definitely look at. Why? Because you get to achieve your dreams. And if you're like 92% of all America, 92%, 9 out of 10 people in America live paycheck to paycheck. There's something wrong with that. We're the most prosperous nation in the world. There's no shortage of money. You know, I teach a course about how to have success, and the first thing I ask people is, well, how much money do you have? I mean, I did one yesterday, and the young man said, well, you know, I'm making $35,000 a year. I said, how much do you want to make? And he said, well, I'd like to make $100,000. I said, well, why are you putting it so low? Let's look at everything you can do to generate money. And we made a laundry list of things that he could do. That included, now this young man was a landscaper, and I said, well, can you do side landscaping jobs? Yeah. Do you ever get calls from contractors to come out and help them clean out a flower pot or do that kind of side work? Yeah. I said, well, what other things do you like doing? He said, well, I like to play guitar. I said, have you ever given music lessons? No. Well, that's another thing. So pretty quickly, I was able to help him figure out how he could, with effort and applying massive action, stop living paycheck to paycheck. So you want even better news? That was the better news. We're going to charge you $397, but I've got one more thing to tell you. Knowledge combined with massive action will always give you killer results, and I guarantee that. We'll support you completely from start to a successful close in that discipline. But you have to do something for us. You have to commit to taking and completing massive action prescribed. One person asked me, so Richard, you're telling me there could be homework in this? And I said, absolutely. Because if you're not held accountable, that's why so many people, I'll tell you another fact I know. Everybody, or I say everybody, the people who make New Year's resolutions, you know how long those resolutions last? 21 days. So by the 21st of January, they've already thrown all those resolutions of what they want to accomplish, what they want to be, what they want to have new insight and new recognition for out the window. Well, you can't do that, guys. So we're going to ask you to act now. When you join, you'll be a part of our Facebook private group, and we'll provide you the URL to join that group. You'll also have an opportunity to visit the LinkedIn group and get plugged into that. You have a choice. You can either schedule a 30-minute consultation with me about success, or I'll give a webinar where multiple people will be engaged, and we'll do that over 60 minutes. And I love this lady's look. Just imagine what your life will be like once you start to uncover opportunities like a pro. So to sign up, you'll be going to www.simplesalescoach.com. I'll spell it phonetically, www.simplesalescoach.com. Right there. Go there. You can sign up. You'll see tons of videos. I've got testimonials in my coaching section. Just a ton of stuff. So here, I always like to give a warning, and this warning is not unique. You may be asking, well, how can I trust you? You'll ask, well, how do you know that I can succeed doing this? Well, you need to ask yourself that question. Will you succeed if you just use your current knowledge with real estate investing? Or do you need a mentor and a coach and a team to help you get through what you're going to be experiencing as new experiences in your life? Could you use instruction and encouragement from somebody like me who's successfully been there and done that? You need to latch on to these specific knowledge courses and get the real estate knowledge and success that you're desiring. So here's also the programs that I'll provide you specific knowledge with. Just to review real quick, I personally did 19 fix and flips last year. I bought 9 wholesale deals. One wholesale deal in a single day provided me $85,000 in my pocket. I do lease options, and I do those primarily out of state because the state of Texas recognizes the lease option, but it's only good for 6 months. So I do a ton of them in Oklahoma and Georgia. I'm going to teach you how to do what I started out doing, and that is invest in land. I'll show you how to find them, how to buy them, and never pay retail. I'll show you how you can recover between 6 to 50% guaranteed return on your money in tax certificates. And that money's guaranteed because it's paid by the government back to you. I'll teach you how to set up an excess funds recovery business. I'm a certified excess funds specialist. I'll teach you my favorite one, and that was what I did in the service, was to do subject twos. Now, if you don't know what a subject two is, let me give you a very quick education. A subject two is my idea of the very best kind of real estate, because you can leverage a property and never go to the bank to get a loan. You just pay that person's payment to their bank. And there's a process that I'll teach on how to go through. It's all completely legal. It's line 305 on a HUD statement. If you've got one at home, you can go home and check it. But nobody knows what it is. And I made it my business to learn these things for my education. Airbnbs, we just told you about the spectacular deal that we'll provide to you if you choose to accept that. And also, you're going to get the finest in executive coaching. So for that $397, there's the list of items you're going to get again. The treasure chest, private Facebook. And why do we do private Facebook groups? Because I want everybody to be interactive with each other. You're going to be surprised as to the quality and the backgrounds of many of the same students that you'll be, rubbing elbows with. That's how you form partnerships. That's how and that's how I got started in this business, is because I dealt with everybody. If you had an interest, I'll teach you how to find money. I'll show you the differences between a private money lender and a hard money lender, and what the advantages and disadvantages of both are. So you're going to get a full education in the entire art of real estate. Which gets me to this point. Even Tom Brady has a coach. Michael Jordan, even Jesus had a coach. It was our Heavenly Father, God. So who's going to keep you on track? Have you ever had one? 92% of all Americans have never even had a coach. Who's going to hold you accountable? Why is that important to be held accountable? Who's going to teach you the best ways to get the best deals? And who's going to share their lifetime secrets of 43 successful years, uber successful years of selling experience with you? Well, that would be me. So this introductory price of $397 is a buy it now before it's gone offer. So act now. It's the most unique opportunity you're going to ever hear. So as you see, you can either carry that problem on your back, or you can run with that problem as an opportunity. Now, before I leave, I want to tell you about the second blatant bribe. Anyone who signs up with us in the next 5 days, we hope that you do it today, but if you'll do it within the next 5 days, we're going to lower the price for you for attending this webinar and for being a valued member and friend of mine. And we're going to take it from $379 down to $297, a savings of $82 a month. And we'll extend that offer for 3 full months. So essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to get 4 months for the payment of 3. That's a wonderful deal, not counting everything that you're going to be able to get and exercise and essentially buy some property with. Not using your own money. I'll show you how to use no money down. That's not to exclude that if you have money, I will certainly show you how to leverage it and make even more money. So I want to thank everybody for your time today. Mark, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, so I just wanted to stress one more time about the uniqueness of this program, about how I really think it's such a great deal, because we're going to be talking about 8 different disciplines on real estate investing. But what's near and dear to my heart is the fact that we're not only going to talk about the investment part, but we're going to talk about the back office stuff. And I'm going to show you how to be successful using tools, these back office tools, using your computer, setting up a website, things like that, things that I love to do. So that's really my parting point. I hope when you consider this offer that you'll take all these things into consideration, all these services. And I also want to thank you for joining us today. Back to you, Rich.
Do we have any questions from anyone? If you want to unmute your phone, please give us a question. Now's your time to talk. Okay, with that being not said, it's been my pleasure for me to have this discussion with you. I hope that you decide to come on board. And if you don't decide to come on board, make sure that you find yourself a quality mentor, and so that you don't waste money. I mean, there's lots of ways to take your money. Times are hard right now. Every dollar is precious. And I'd like to be the person that shows you how to build a new way with your money. So, hey, thank you for your time. Reach out to me on at support@simplesalescoach.com. I answer every email, and I'll surely answer yours. Hey, thank you very much. Bye.